Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class we were discussing about budget, and I think that till now we have discussed about all the important concepts related to budget. So friends, in this class I will teach you about the actual process, means how the budget is actually passed in parliament. Okay, so here on the screen you can see a flow chart. So friends, I have made this flow chart so that all the students can easily understand all the steps of the process of passage of budget. Because many a times I have seen students have problem in different steps, and many of the students have problem in the entire process. Okay, they have problem in linking all the steps. So in order to make this process simple, in order to make this process so simple that all the students can easily understand, I have made a flow chart. Okay, so friends, in this class I will explain you that how the budget is actually passed in Lok Sabha and how the entire process goes on. So now let's begin. So friends, first of all, what is the first step? So first of all, what happens that the budget is presented in Lok Sabha by the Finance Minister of India. So you can see here first step that the Finance Minister of India presents the budget in Lok Sabha. So here you have to remember 2-3 things. The first thing is that the budget is presented by Finance Minister of India. The second thing is that the budget is presented first in Lok Sabha. Okay, so you have to remember that at first budget is not presented in Rajya Sabha. At first the budget is presented in Lok Sabha. Okay, so what is the first step? The first step is that the Finance Minister of India presents the budget in Lok Sabha. Now friends, after this what happens that the Finance Minister of India gives one speech. Okay. Now you can ask me that, sir, what is the content of that speech or what this speech contains? So what happens that the Finance Minister of India tells about the overview of budget to the Lok Sabha. Okay, so what is the content of the speech? So in his speech, Finance Minister of India tells about Lok Sabha, tells to Lok Sabha about the overview of budget, means what are the overall provisions of budget, what budget looks like. Okay, so he just give an overview or an overview picture of budget to the Lok Sabha. Now this speech is also known as budget speech. Okay, so what is the name of this speech? The name of this speech is budget speech. So now we can, okay, and what is the content of this speech? So in this speech, Finance Minister of India tells Lok Sabha about the overview of budget, about the overall picture of budget. Okay, means he is telling Lok Sabha about the overview of budget, about the overall provisions of budget. So friends, now can you tell me that what is the first step of the passage of budget? So now you can say that, sir, first of all what happens that the Finance Minister of India presents the budget in Lok Sabha by a speech known as budget speech. Okay, so what is first step? So first of all, the Finance Minister of India presents the budget to Lok Sabha by a speech, and his speech is known as budget speech. Okay, now friends, once his speech is over, okay, so then what happens once the speech of Finance Minister is over? So then comes the second step. So the second step is that the budget is presented in Rajya Sabha. Okay, so now you have to remember that once the speech of Finance Minister is over in Lok Sabha, once the speech of Finance Minister is over in Lok Sabha, then the budget is presented in Rajya Sabha. Friends, in the previous classes, I taught you one concept that in India, Parliament has two houses. So now can you tell me which are those two houses of Parliament? So the lower house is known as Lok Sabha and the upper house is known as Rajya Sabha. So friends, just now I have told you that first of all what happens that the budget is presented in Lok Sabha by the Finance Minister of India with a speech, and after his speech the budget is presented to Rajya Sabha. Okay, now when the budget is presented in Lok Sabha as well as the budget is presented in Rajya Sabha, then we can say that the budget is presented in both the houses of Parliament. then it means that budget is actually presented in parliament. Okay, so what I am saying, I am just saying that once the budget is presented to Lok Sabha, after that when the budget is presented to Rajya Sabha, it means that the budget is presented to both the houses of parliament. So then we can say that the budget is now actually presented to parliament. Now friends, after that, what is the third step? So here on the screen you can see the third step. So in third step, what happens, that a general discussion of budget goes on in Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha. Okay, so I have told you that the budget is presented in Lok Sabha and it is also presented in Rajya Sabha. So once the budget is presented in both the houses of parliament, so then what will happen, that a general discussion will go on about budget in Lok Sabha as well as a general discussion will go on about budget in Rajya Sabha. Now friends, what is the meaning of the word general discussion? So general discussion basically means that now the houses of parliament are not discussing about the budget in deep. Okay, the houses of parliament are not discussing about the budget in detail. Okay, so it means that the houses of parliament are not discussing about the provisions of budget by going into deep. Okay, they are just discussing about the overview of budget. They are just discussing about the overall provisions of budget. Okay, so we can also say that they are roughly discussing about the budget. So this is the meaning of general discussion. So what is third step? So the third step is that a general discussion about budget goes on in Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha. Now friends, can you remember that I taught you one thing in the last class? So I taught you that what happens, that budget consists of two things. The first thing is known as appropriation bill. Okay, so the first bill in the budget is known as appropriation bill, and the second bill in the budget is known as finance bill. Okay, and both of these bills, means appropriation bill and finance bill, both of these bills together makes the budget. So we can say that budget actually consists of two bills, appropriation bill and finance bill. Okay, now friends, can you remember that I taught you in the last class that appropriation bill is a money bill as well as finance bill is also a money bill. Okay, and if I am saying that budget is made up of appropriation bill and finance bill both, and if appropriation bill is also a money bill and finance bill is also a money bill, then we can say that the budget is actually a money bill. Now friends, why I am telling you here this, that budget is a money bill? So I am telling it here because whenever I am saying that budget is a money bill, so instantly in your mind all the provisions of the money bill should come. Okay, so as I am saying that budget is a money bill, so instantly in your mind all the features of a money bill should come. Now friends, can you remember that I taught you about the types of bill in one of the previous classes? Okay, so there are many types of bills. For example, ordinary bill, constitutional amendment bill, finance bill category A, finance bill category B, and money bill. Okay, so in that class, I taught you about the types of bills and all their features in a very detailed manner. So if you have not watched that class, then please go and watch that class, because whenever I am saying that budget is a money bill, so in your mind instantly all the features of money bill should come. But the question arises that why I am saying this. So friends, I am saying this because what happens in the case of any money bill, that the powers of Lok Sabha is much higher than that of Rajya Sabha in the case of money bill. So you can also say that in the case of money bill, Rajya Sabha has negligible or no power. Okay, means Rajya Sabha has very less power in the case of money bill. And the Constitution of India has provided all the exclusive powers to Lok Sabha in the case of any money bill. So if we are discussing about money bill, then we should keep in our mind that for money bill, Lok Sabha is extremely powerful and Rajya Sabha is very weak. Okay, but why I am telling this to you here? So here I am telling it to you because once the general discussion of budget in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is over, then what happens, that the Rajya Sabha is adjourned. Okay, why? Because the role of Rajya Sabha is very limited in the passing of any money bill. Therefore, and okay, so the role of Rajya Sabha is very limited in the passing of any money bill, and budget is also a money bill. So we can say that the role of Rajya Sabha is very limited in the passing of budget. Okay, so what will happen, that once the general discussion is over in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then Rajya Sabha will be adjourned, and then all the further process will go on in Lok Sabha. Now friends, after this, what is the fourth step? So here you can see on the screen, the fourth step is that the votes on account is passed by Lok Sabha without discussion and voting. So we can also say that the votes on account is passed by Lok Sabha. Okay, votes on account is passed by Lok Sabha formally. Okay, so what does it mean when I am saying that the votes on account is formally passed by Lok Sabha? So formally passed by Lok Sabha means that the votes on account is passed by Lok Sabha without any discussion and without any voting. Means no discussion goes on in Lok Sabha regarding votes on account. Even no voting is conducted in Lok Sabha regarding votes on account. Okay, and votes on account is just formally passed in Lok Sabha. So formally passed in Lok Sabha means it is passed in Lok Sabha without any discussion and without any voting. So now you will, okay. So friends, now the question arises that what is this votes on account? So friends, in the last class only, I taught you about the topic of votes on account in a very detailed manner. Okay, so if any one of you have not watched last class, then I am requesting you that first of all go and watch the last two classes related to budget, because in those classes I have covered all the important concepts and terminologies related to budget, and in this class I am telling you the process. Okay, so if you don't know that what is the meaning of votes on account, then please go and first of all watch the last class. Then you will become clear about the meaning of votes on account. Friends, earlier what was the practice, that budget was presented in Parliament on the last working day of February. Okay, so this was the practice of the earlier governments, that the budget was presented on the last working day of February. Now friends, through this flow chart you can clearly understand that the passage of budget is a very long and complex process. Okay, there are many steps, the process is very long. So what happens, that government at least need 2 to 3 months for the passing of budget. Okay, so we are considering that let's suppose government need at least 3 months for the passing of budget. Now if the budget is being introduced on the last working day of February, then it means that the entire month of February is gone. Okay, and budget is only presented in February, means the actual process will begin in the month of March. Okay, because it is only being presented in the last working day of February. So the rest of the process will be started from the month of March. So friends, it means that the process of the passage of budget will go on in the month of March, in the month of April, and also in the month of May. Why? Because government needs at least 3 months for the entire process to be done. Okay, so Parliament needs at least 3 months for this entire process to be completed. Okay, so the first month is March, then April, and then May. So we can say that the process will be completed in the month of May itself. Okay, so means the budget will be passed in the month of May. Now friends, let's suppose if the budget is being presented in the month of February 2021. Okay, then what will happen, that the month of February and month of March, the month of February and the month of March will come under financial year 2020-2021. But the month of April and the month of May will come under financial year 2021-2022. Now what is the problem? So the problem here is that the budget is still not passed for financial year 2021-2022. Okay, and until the budget is not passed, till that time government cannot withdraw a single rupee from the consolidated fund of India. So the problem is that the month of April and the month of May are coming under financial year 2021-2022, and the budget is still not passed for this financial year. So the problem becomes that how government will run the administration of country in the month of April and in the month of May, because the budget is still not passed for financial year 2021-2022, and the month of April and month of May will come under financial year 2021-2022. So how the government will run the administration of country without money? Because government cannot withdraw even a single rupee from Consolidated Fund of India till the time the budget is not completely passed. Okay, so what is the problem? So the problem is that how the government will run the administration of country, how the government will run the country in the month of April and in the month of May. Okay, so what happened, that this was a practice that Lok Sabha used to authorize the government to withdraw the amount, to withdraw the money from Consolidated Fund of India to run the administration of country for the month of April and for the month of May, and this is known as votes on account. So votes on account basically means that Lok Sabha used to authorize, Lok Sabha used to give permission to the government of India to go and withdraw the money from Consolidated Fund of India to run the administration of country for the month of April and for the month of May. Okay, so that government can easily and smoothly run the administration of country. So this was known as votes on account. Friends, here in this class I have just given you a very rough and little meaning of votes on account. So if you really want to study the deep meaning of votes on account, then kindly watch the last class. Okay. But for friends, what happened, that this system means the system of votes on account, this was very problematic. Okay, so what happened, to avoid this problem, now the government has started to introduce the budget in early February itself. Okay, so to avoid this problem, now the government has started to introduce the budget in early February. For example, I can tell you that the budget of this financial year was introduced on 1st February 2021 by the Finance Minister of India. Okay, so what happened, that the Finance Minister of India introduced the budget on 1st February 2021. So what happened, that government got entire month of February. Okay, so government got entire month of February, and government also speeded up the process. So what happened, that the budget was passed in the month of March 2021 itself. Okay, so the process began on 1st of February 2021 and the budget was passed in the month of March 2021. Okay, now what happens, that the month of February and month of March, both of these months comes under financial year 2020-2021. Okay, and the budget is already passed for this financial year, because for this financial year budget was passed last year. Okay, so the budget is already passed for this financial year. It means that there is no problem for running the administration of country for these 2 months. Okay, and now if the budget is completely passed in the month of March 2021, it means that now government has the power to withdraw the money from Consolidated Fund of India in the month of April, in the month of March, in the month of April, in the month of May, in the month of June, and so on. Okay, so to avoid this problem, what Government of India did, Government of India started to introduce the budget in early February, so that government can get the entire month of February for the passing of budget for this process. So now there is no need of this thing known as votes on account. So this concept was used earlier. Now there is no need of votes on account, because this year's budget was passed in March 2021 itself. Now friends, after this, what is the fifth step? So here is on the screen you can see that this is the fifth step. So then what happens, that the charged expenditures are formally passed by Lok Sabha. Now what is the meaning of charged expenditure? So friends, you can remember that in the last class only I taught you about the meaning of charged expenditure in a very detailed manner. So charged expenditures are those expenditures which are permanently charged on Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so what is a charged expenditure? So charged expenditures are those expenditures which are permanently charged on Consolidated Fund of India. Now what do I mean when I am saying that they are permanently charged on Consolidated Fund of India? So it means that Lok Sabha, Lok Sabha does not have voting power for these charge expenditures. Okay, so what happens, that there is no need of voting. There is no need of voting for passing this expenditure in Lok Sabha. Okay, so what is the meaning? So it means that there is no need of voting for passing these expenditures in Lok Sabha. Okay, so permanently charged means they are charged forever. Permanently charged means they are charged forever on the Consolidated Fund of India. There is no need of their approval. There is no need of voting for in the Lok Sabha. Okay. So charge expenditures is formally passed by Lok Sabha means, so formally passed basically means that they are passed without any voting in Lok Sabha. So formally passed statements means that they are passed without any voting in Lok Sabha. And why charge expenditures are passed without any voting? Because they are permanently charged on Consolidated Fund of India. There is no need of their approval by Lok Sabha. There is no need of voting. They are permanently charged. They are charged forever. Okay. Now friends, if you want to study about charge expenditure in detail, then kindly watch the previous class, because in the previous class I taught you about the concept of charge expenditure in a very detailed manner. Okay. Now after that, what is the sixth step? So friends, remember that I taught you in the last class that what happens, that appropriation bill. Okay. What happens, that appropriation bill actually contains two things. The first thing is charge expenditure and the second thing is demand for grants by various ministries. Okay, after that I explained you the meaning of charge expenditure and then I explained you the meaning of demand for grants. Okay, so now in this class I hope that you all already know that what is the meaning of charge expenditure and what is the meaning of demand for grants, because in the last class I taught you about the concept of demand for grants and charge expenditure in a very detailed manner. So what happens in sixth step, that Lok Sabha refers the demand for grants of various ministries to be analyzed by relevant departmental related standing committees. Okay, so now what does it mean? So friends, let us understand this sixth step with the help of one example so that all of you can understand it very easily. So in the last class, I took the example of health ministry. So again here also I am taking the example of health ministry. So let's suppose that, okay, so now what is the role of health ministry? So the basic role of health ministry is to maintain the health infrastructure in India. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that health ministry, it is the duty of health ministry to provide healthcare facility to the people of India. Now for providing healthcare facility to the people of India, it is the need that health ministry first of all should construct the health infrastructure. Okay, for that health ministry needs to construct the hospitals. Okay, they have to hire various doctors and nurses. Okay, more than that they have to buy many medicines, they have to buy many medical equipments. Now what happens, that health ministry needs money for all this. Health ministry needs money for the construction of hospitals. Health ministry needs money for giving salary to doctors and nurses. Health ministry needs money for buying medicine, for buying medical equipments and all other things. Okay, for buying, let's suppose for buying beds for patients, for buying ventilators. Okay, so what is the thing here, that health ministry needs a lot of money for the construction and maintenance of health infrastructure in India. Now friends, what happens, that the question arises that from where the health ministry will get money. Now for getting money, what health ministry will do, health ministry will make an estimate. Okay, health ministry will make an estimate and then health ministry will submit that estimate to the finance minister of India, or we can also say that to the finance ministry. So what happened, that health ministry made an estimate that this much amount of money we need. For example, we can say that health ministry needs, let's suppose, 1000 crore rupees. Okay, so health ministry made an estimate that we need 1000 crore rupees and then health ministry submitted that estimate to the finance ministry of India. Now what finance ministry of India will do? So when finance minister of India will present the budget in Lok Sabha, okay, listen to my words carefully, when finance minister of India will present the budget to Lok Sabha, then what will happen, that finance minister of India will present all the demand for grants of all the ministries in front of Lok Sabha. Okay, now what does it mean? So here, as health ministry has submitted its estimate to finance ministry, in the similar way home ministry also needs money, in the similar way defense ministry also needs money, and there are many ministries. all these ministries need money for running their administration. So what will happen, that all the ministries will submit their estimate to the finance ministry, and then what will happen, that finance minister will put proposal. Okay, so then what will happen, that when finance minister will introduce budget in Lok Sabha, so at that point of time finance minister will put all these demand for grants in front of Lok Sabha. Okay, so what will happen, that finance minister will put all these demand for grants in front of Lok Sabha along with the budget. So demand for grant basically means the money which a ministry needs for carrying out its affairs, the money which a ministry demanded. Okay, so demand for grant means the money which a ministry is demanding for carrying out its administration. Okay, so what happened, that when finance minister of India presented the budget to Lok Sabha, so along with the budget he presented all the demand for grants, means the demand for grant of all the ministries to Lok Sabha. Okay, so let's suppose this is the demand for grant of health ministry, this is the demand for grant of home ministry, this is the demand for grant of defense ministry, okay, and so on. Now what will happen, that there is a committee known as DRSC. DRSC means Departmental Related Standing Committee. Now what is that committee and what is the work of that committee? So now what will happen, that Lok Sabha will assign the demand for grant of each ministry to one DRSC. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that, let's suppose Home Ministry has demanded 1000 crore rupees in the demand for grant. Okay, so what happened, that the Home Ministry has, okay, let's suppose Health Ministry. So we were discussing about Health Ministry. So let's suppose that the Health Ministry has demanded 1000 crore rupees in the demand for grant. So now what Lok Sabha will do, that now Lok Sabha will tell, or Lok Sabha will instruct one DRSC. So there are many departmental related standing committees. Okay, there are many DRSCs. So now Lok Sabha will instruct or will give order to one DRSC to take the demand for grant of health ministry and then analyze its demand for grant, to study the demand for grant of health ministry in deep. Okay, so what will happen, friends, that Lok Sabha will give order to one departmental related standing committee to take the demand for grant of health ministry and then study the demand for grant given by health ministry. Okay, now what does it mean? So it means that this departmental related standing committee will analyze the demand for grant given by health ministry, means it will see that whether the demand which is made by health ministry is correct or not, whether the health ministry is demanding right amount of money or not, whether health ministry really needs money or health ministry doesn't need money. Okay, so what this departmental related standing committee will do, it will analyze the entire demand for grant given by health ministry. It will see all the points which are given in the demand for grant made by health ministry. This departmental related standing committee will see all the things which are mentioned in the report of health ministry. It will analyze that whether health ministry really needs money or not, or how much money is needed by health ministry in reality. Okay, so it will do the analysis and it will analyze the demand for grant made by health ministry. Similarly, what will happen, that one departmental related standing committee will analyze the demand for grant made by home ministry, one DRSC will analyze the demand for grant made by defense ministry, one departmental related standing committee will analyze the demand for grant made by environment ministry, and so on. Okay, so we know that there are many ministries, okay, and each ministry needs money for running the administration. Okay, so from where the ministry will get the money? So definitely that ministry will make a demand for grant. So demand for grant basically means the money which our ministry needs for running its administration. So when Finance Minister of India will present the budget in Lok Sabha, so along with the budget, Finance Minister of India will also present all the demand for grants in front of Lok Sabha. So now what Lok Sabha will do? Now Lok Sabha will give order to all the standing DRSCs. Okay, now Lok Sabha will give order to all the departmental related standing committees, and one departmental related standing committee will analyze the demand for grant made by one ministry. Okay, for example, one DRSC will analyze the demand for grant made by Home Ministry, one DRSC will analyze the demand for grant made by Defense Ministry, and so on. Now friends, after this, the seventh step is that these departmental related standing committees will submit their report to Lok Sabha. Okay, so what happened, that there are many departmental related standing committees, and each departmental related standing committee analyzed the demand for grant made by one ministry. Okay, so they will analyze the demand for grant, and then on the basis of their analysis they will make one report. For example, one DRSC will make the report of demand for grant of Health Ministry, one DRSC will make the report of demand for grant of Home Ministry. Okay, so the DRSCs means departmental related standing committees will analyze the demand for grants made by various ministries, and based on their analysis they will make report, and then they will submit their report to the Lok Sabha. So this is the seventh step. Now friends, after this, the eighth step is that the second round of discussion will take place in response to the report submitted by DRSCs. Now what does it mean? So here in the third step I told you that a general discussion went on in Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha. Okay, now why general discussion happened? So general discussion happened because at that point of time Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha were not aware of the real provisions of the budget. But now what happened in seventh step, that the departmental related standing committees made the specific report of each demand for grant after analyzing these demand for grants. Okay, so what happened in seventh step, that the departmental related standing committees made the report of demand for grant made by one ministry, and then they submitted that report to Lok Sabha. Now it means that Lok Sabha is having the report. Now Lok Sabha is having the analytical report of demand for grant made by all the ministries. Okay. So now what happened, that now Lok Sabha is having the detailed report of demand for grant made by each ministry. So now on the basis of the report which is submitted by departmental related standing committees, now the second round of discussion will take place in Lok Sabha. And definitely now as the Lok Sabha is having the report of DRSCs, so now this round of discussion will be very detailed and deep. So now what will happen, that a detailed and deep discussion will take place in Lok Sabha on the report which is submitted by departmental related standing committees. Now friends, after discussion what will happen? Okay, so then comes the ninth step. So the ninth step is that once the discussion is over, then the cut motions are brought by the opposition. Now what is the cut motion? So there are many type of cut motions. For example, policy cut motion, token cut motion, economy cut motion. Okay, so for example we can say that policy cut motion, we can also say economy cut motion. Okay, and there is one more known as token cut motion. Okay, so these motions are brought by the opposition. Okay, so policy cut motion, economy cut motion, token cut motion, these motions are brought by opposition in the Lok Sabha. But friends, what is the meaning of policy cut motion? What is the meaning of economy cut motion? And what is the meaning of token cut motion? Or overall we can say that what is the meaning of cut motion? So here as I am discussing about the process, okay, here as I am discussing about the process of the passage of budget, so if I will explain you the meaning of these motions, then it will break our flow. Okay, so now what happens? So now please there is one request that I will explain you the meaning of policy cut, economy cut and token cut motion after some time. Okay, for the time being you just understand that in the ninth step what happens, that the various cut motions are brought by the opposition in Lok Sabha against the budget. Okay, now what is the meaning of cut motion and what are these policy cut motion, economy cut motion and token cut motion? We will discuss about them later on. So friends, here I am telling you one rough meaning of cut motions. So cut motions basically means that they are the instruments to have financial control over executive in the hands of legislature. Okay, so we can say that cut motions is a type of instrument in the hand of legislature to have a financial control over the executive wing of government. Okay, and what is the bulk of these cut motions? So the basic bulk of these cut motions is to reduce the demand for grant. Okay, so all these cut motions, whether it is policy cut motion or economy cut motion or token cut motion, they actually tries to reduce the amount of demand for grant. Okay, but we will discuss about them detail in the next class. Okay, for the time being, you just understand that what is ninth step. So in the ninth step, various cut motions are brought by opposition. And what is the work of these cut motions? So these cut motions try to reduce the amount of demand for grant. Okay, these cut motions tries to reduce the demand for amount of demand for grants. Now friends, after that, what is the 10th step? So then what happens that the demand for grants of about 20% of major ministries are discussed and voted individually. Okay, so now what does it mean? So what happens friends? In our council of ministers, okay, so executive is basically council of ministers. So in our council of ministers, some ministries are called as major ministries. Major ministries basically means they are big ministries. Now what are the examples of big ministries? So for example, health ministry is a very big ministry. Similarly, home ministry is a very big ministry. Similarly, defense ministry is a very big ministry. HRD ministry is a very big ministry. Okay, so these are big ministries. So the demand for grants is also a very big amount because they need a very big amount for their operations. Okay, and what happens? That in council of ministers, major ministries are less and small ministries are more. Okay, so major ministries are less and small ministries are more, but the demand for grant which is made by major ministries is very higher, is much higher than which is made by the small ministries, because these major ministries need a lot of money for running their operation. So what happens that the demand for grant of each of this major ministry, it is discussed separately and it is voted separately. Now what does it mean? So it means that, for example, the demand for grant made by health ministry. Okay, so now Lok Sabha is having the report of demand for grant made by health ministry, which is given to Lok Sabha by the departmental related standing committee. Now what will happen that Lok Sabha will discuss that report. Okay, so on the basis of report submitted by departmental related standing committee, Lok Sabha will discuss about the demand for grant made by health ministry. Okay, and after the discussion, then the voting will take place on the demand for grant made by health ministry. Okay, now the same will be the case for home ministry, same will be the case of defense ministry, same will be the case with HRD ministry. For example, we can say that what will happen with defense ministry, that Lok Sabha is also having the report submitted by one departmental related standing committee regarding the demand for grant made by defense ministry. Okay, so now based on the report submitted by departmental related standing committee, Lok Sabha will discuss about the demand for grant which is made by this defense ministry. So first of all, the separate discussion will take place on the demand for grant made by defense ministry, and after that the voting will take place. Okay, so first of all the separate discussion will take place in Lok Sabha, then the voting will take place in Lok Sabha. So this happens separately for all the big ministries. Okay, so separately voting and so what will happen that voting and discussion will be conducted separately for home ministry, voting and discussion will be conducted separately for defense ministry, voting and discussion will be conducted separately for health ministry, voting and discussion will be conducted separately for HRD ministry. So what happens that there are so roughly we can say that there are 20% ministries which can be categorized as major ministries. Okay, so we can say that in council of ministers there are 20% ministries which can be categorized as the major ministries. So what happens that the demand for grant made by each major ministry is discussed separately and it is voted separately, but the demand for grant made by about 80% of the minor ministries is clubbed together and passed formally without discussion or voting. Now what does it mean? So you can understand this concept like that if this is the council of ministers. Okay, now there are many ministries and council of ministers. For example, I have given you the example of defense ministry, I have given you the example of health ministry. So there are many ministries. Now you can say that the 20% of these ministries can be categorized as big ministries, or we can say that major ministries, and remaining 80% of the ministries can be categorized as small ministries, or we can say that these are minor ministries. Okay, now definitely we know that the money needed by big ministries is very much, and small ministries need very less amount of money. Okay, so what happens that the demand for grant of all the big ministries or major ministries is discussed separately and it is voted separately. So the demand for grant for every big ministry will be discussed separately and it will be voted separately. But if we are talking about the small ministries, then what happens that the demand for grant of all the small ministries is clubbed together and it is passed formally, without any discussion and voting. So this is the 11th step, and this is also known as the application of the principle of guillotine. Now friends, what is the meaning of this application of guillotine? So now I will give you one example, and based on that example you just try to understand the meaning of guillotine. So friends, there is a vegetable known as ladyfinger. So now I am just asking that have you ever cut this ladyfinger in your life? Now there are two ways of cutting ladyfingers. Okay, the one way is, so let's suppose this is a ladyfinger, this is also a ladyfinger, this is also a ladyfinger, this is a ladyfinger, and this is also a ladyfinger. Now the one way is that you are cutting this separately, you are cutting this separately, you are cutting this. Okay, so you are cutting all these separately. Now there is one more method of cutting the ladyfinger, and definitely this method is time efficient. So now first of all what we will do, we will place all the lady fingers in one line. Okay, so first of all we will place all the lady fingers in one line, and after that what we will do, we will place a knife here and together we will cut all these lady fingers. So this is known as the application of guillotine. So application of guillotine means you are clubbing the things together. Application of guillotine means you are clubbing, you are joining the things together and you are cutting them together. Okay, so what happens in case of budget? Okay, in case of the 11th step, that the demand for grant of 80% of the ministries, the demand for grant of 80% of the ministries is clubbed together and it is passed without any discussion and voting. So this is known as the application of guillotine. Okay, so application of guillotine in budget means that the demand for grant of about 80% of ministries is clubbed together, it is joined together and no discussion takes place on it, no voting takes place on it, and it is passed formally without any discussion and voting. Now friends, you can ask me question that sir, why this happens that the demand for grant of 20% major ministries is discussed and voted individually, means they are passed one by one, but the demand for grant of about 80% of the ministries is passed without any voting and discussion and they are passed by the application of guillotine. So the answer to this question is that what happens that there are many ministries in Council of Ministers. So if Lok Sabha will take the demand for grant of every ministry separately and then Lok Sabha will discuss and then vote on the demand for grant, then the passage of budget will become a very long process. Okay, it can even take entire year. Listen to my words carefully what I am saying, that there are so many ministries in Council of Ministers that if Lok Sabha will take the demand for grant of every ministry separately and then it will discuss it and then it will pass it, so what will happen that it will consume a lot of time. Okay, so what happens, in order to save time, the demand for grant of big ministries which are really important, who really needs a lot of money, so the demand for grant of big ministries is discussed separately and they are voted separately, means they are passed one by one. But all these small ministries, they are not that important, neither the money demanded by them is not too big. Okay, it's not a very huge amount. Okay, so what happens that the demand for grant of about 80% of the small ministries, it is clubbed together and it is passed without any discussion and voting. So this is known as the application of guillotine and this is done to save that time. With this, the 11th step is also completed. Now Now friends, here I told you in the fifth step that the charge expenditure was formally passed by Lok Sabha. Now in the 10th and 11th step, what happened? That all the demand for grants were also passed. Now remember one thing that I told you, that what happens, that appropriation bill basically contains two things: charge expenditures plus demand for grant of various ministries. Okay. Now what happens, that now we know that charge expenditure is passed by Lok Sabha. Now we also know that demand for grants is also passed by Lok Sabha. So once all the charge expenditures and demand for grants is passed by Lok Sabha, then all these charge expenditures and demand for grants are written together in one bill. Okay, so what is happening, that when the charge expenditures are passed by Lok Sabha and when the demand for grants are passed by Lok Sabha, after that all these means charge expenditures as well as demand for grants are together written in one bill, which is known as appropriation bill. Okay, so what happens, that all the charge expenditures and demand for grants are written in one bill, which is known as appropriation bill, and then that bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, and after that the voting takes place on that bill and that bill is passed in Lok Sabha. So what is the 12th step? So 12th step is the introduction and the passage of appropriation bill. So appropriation bill is nothing, it just contains all the charge expenditures and demand for grants. So you just remember that when all the charge expenditures are passed by Lok Sabha and when all the demand for grants are passed by Lok Sabha, after that what happens, that all these charge expenditures and all these demand for grants are written in one document, which is known as appropriation bill. Okay, so then what happens, that this appropriation bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, and after that all the process goes on, and then this appropriation bill is passed by Lok Sabha. Now friends, after this the next step is that this appropriation bill is sent to Rajya Sabha for its approval. Okay, so once the appropriation bill is passed in Lok Sabha, then this appropriation bill is sent to Rajya Sabha for its approval. But friends, remember that I told you that appropriation bill is a money bill. So means Rajya Sabha has very limited power in the case of appropriation bill. So what happens, that Rajya Sabha has to pass this appropriation bill within 14 days. And within 14 days, Rajya Sabha has to return. Okay, so within 14 days, Rajya Sabha has to pass this appropriation bill. Now as appropriation bill is a money bill, so all the principles of money bill will be applied here. So what happens, that now Rajya Sabha has to pass this appropriation bill within 14 days period. And okay, now after that what is the next, so once the appropriation bill is passed by Rajya Sabha, then we can say that the appropriation bill is now passed by the parliament. Now after that what is the next step? So the next step is that now the finance bill is passed in Lok Sabha after discussion is voting. Now what is this finance bill? So friends, can you remember that I taught you in the last class that finance bill contains all the taxes which government of India will levy in the coming financial year. Okay, so I told you that in budget there are two things: expenditure part and the revenue part or the receipt part of the government. So this finance bill actually contains the receipt part of the budget. Receipt part means it contains all the taxes which government of India will impose in the coming financial year. Okay, so then what happens in the 14th step, once the appropriation bill is passed, then what will happen, that the finance bill is passed by Lok Sabha. So then the discussion will go on in finance bill, and then the voting will go on the finance bill, and then finally the finance bill will be passed by Lok Sabha. Now friends, once the finance bill is passed by Lok Sabha, then what will happen, that the finance bill is now sent to Rajya Sabha for its approval. Okay, so now the next step is that once the finance bill is discussed and passed by Lok Sabha, then this finance bill will be sent to Rajya Sabha for its approval. Friends, can you remember that I told you in the last class that finance bill is also a money bill? So if finance bill is also a money bill, so it means that the powers of Rajya Sabha is very limited in the case of finance bill also. It means that Rajya Sabha has to pass the finance bill within 14 days. Okay, so once the finance bill is passed by Lok Sabha, then it will be sent to Rajya Sabha for its approval. But Rajya Sabha has to pass the finance bill within 14 days. And once the finance bill is passed by Rajya Sabha, then we can say that now appropriation bill as well as finance bill is passed by parliament. And what is budget? Budget is appropriation bill plus finance bill. Okay, so if appropriation bill and finance bill, both of these bills are passed by the parliament, then we can say that the budget is passed by the parliament. So finally the budget is passed. Okay, so once the appropriation bill is passed by both the houses of parliament and finance bill is passed by both the houses of parliament, then we will say that now the budget is passed by parliament. So friends, finally your budget is now passed. So I hope that you all must have enjoyed the lecture. So friends, that's all for today. Now in the next class, we will discuss about some of the remaining concepts. For example, I have to teach you the cut motions in detail in the next class, and there are some other remaining things. Okay, so now the topic of budget is now completed. So friends, I hope that you all must have enjoyed the class, and if you have enjoyed the class, then please like the video, comment, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all. Friends, take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay indoors, take care of yourself. Now we will meet in next class. Thank you.